one of the important things that I've seen, I actually remember, this got us to start taking, consideration on brand presence, right? I remember I had a conversation with one of our members. This is like maybe 3 years ago now, and he was just saying, I'm getting hundreds of leads, Preston, but I feel like I have great conversations, and then these people are ghosting me. So I'm like, okay, well that's not a normal, if you're having great conversations, then we have a sales process problem, right? So I started diving into some research, and I just typed in his name, and literally the first thing that came up was one of those like criminal records pages for his name, and I'm like, well, so usually when people are going to buy something or thinking about buying something, they Google and do a little research, and if you Google your name, this is what comes up. And he got super pissed, and he was like, I was not convicted. I was like, bro, they don't care if you were convicted. They care that that's the first thing that comes up when they look you up. And so this actually was the first thing that kind of made that surface in my world. And McBee and I are like, oh, this is critical. Like, you can have all the leads in the world, and if this is what the first thing people are seeing, you got problems, So talk to us a little bit about brand presence, the importance of that, and some of the things that you feel maybe you've been able to do to combat the problems that I just kind of mentioned, or even maybe there's not a problem, and that's the problem itself, is there's nothing when you search it, right? So what are some of the things that you feel you've done to help loan officers increase their brand presence and on their own online profiles?
So I'm going to answer that, but I'm going to share a very similar story first to tell you that one of our longtime members, when he came to us, one of our most challenging scenarios is that he shares a unique last name with a pedophile, convicted pedophile. This is not our member. However, when same kind of a thing that people would Google him, and then he was in a geographic area, so it was really difficult to overcome. But we were able to get through this. But that was a big one. So again, I've been in the industry for 23 years. When I wrote loans, our idea of the internet was dancing cowboys. I don't know if you remember those ads. They were the low rate, I think it was lowrate.com ads. And they would have the dancing silhouette cowboys and things like that. Was the internet. And the internet today, though, everybody that is going to work with you, whether they've been referred to you from a real estate agent, whether they have been referred from a past client, they're going to want to know that you are okay to work with. They're going to be vetting you out. The way that we vet people out is they go to Google. So they're going to go and they're going to Google your name. Generally, they're going to Google your name and the word mortgage. And that's usually what we have found through analytics to be the most.
That makes sense.
And when they do, you want to make sure as an originator that you've got a few things in place. So first of all, you got to recognize the platforms that are out there that have strength in social media and SEO. So of course, it starts with Google, and you want to have a Google business profile. That's the name. It used to be called a Google My Business. Before that, it was Google Places. And I've watched this thing evolve for probably about 7 years now, right? And it's called Google Business Profile. And it's important to recognize that, because what Google is doing is they're moving all of that information onto their platform where they can kind of control it and build on it and creating an actual profile. So you want to make sure that that profile is complete. You may not even have set it up. We're finding that Google recently, and again, I don't actively do this stuff anymore like you, Preston. I mean, I stay very fingers deep on it, so I know what's going on, but my team is the one that handles this. And that on our team call yesterday, they were telling me that we had somebody who recently was getting calls for equal housing opportunity, and it was very strange. And if you Googled him, if you Googled his phone number, it was actually coming up for a Google listing called Equal Housing Opportunity. Google had created this custom listing. So Google may create a listing about you, and you may not even know that it exists, right? So they created this listing. It was a really strange scenario, and thankfully our team was able to get that removed very quickly, because he was getting a lot of phantom calls and weird things. So anyway, you want to make sure that you have a Google business profile set up, and you want to make sure that you are the owner of that Google business profile, not your company, not your best friend, friend, not your marketing company. They could be on there too, but you want to make sure that it all starts with being you as the actual owner on that. Second thing is you want to look for the two most prominent social media platforms, LinkedIn and Facebook. Now, very few originators are going to get loans from LinkedIn. Some of you do, and you've got systems for that, and that's fantastic, but you're generally not going to go to LinkedIn to look for a mortgage person. LinkedIn's tried to do this, and it hasn't really taken off. However, LinkedIn has huge search engine optimization, and they're going to come up on that listing. So if you had somebody like your scenario where when they Google them, negative things are coming up, you can't get rid of those negative things. But what you can do is push them down the bottom of the page. So you want to make sure that there's a lot more better information.
Right.
So you got to provide Google with that. So you want to have a strong LinkedIn profile. You want to make sure you're completing your about section. Have your contact information in that about section. People that are not connected to you on LinkedIn are not going to see your contact section with your actual contact information. So they want to make little tricks like that. Another one, again, being on Facebook, having a Facebook business page. Let's face it, Facebook's still the 800-pound gorilla when it comes to a lot of social media. Facebook business pages are not generally going to have a long algorithm reach. They're not going to get you in front of a lot of people, but they do come up in the search rankings and people click on them. So what you want to do is make sure that you have relevant content that's been timely. Like for our members, we post a weekly rate forecast every Monday, and it's on their Facebook page so that they have new content. The other thing that we do is we take any of their reviews, we turn them into an actual image post that on their Facebook page. You want to make sure that Facebook page is dialed in for credibility, for reputation.
Right.
That's what people are going to see. So, that's what's important on those things is kind of a good starting point any originator can do. And then once you get into some of these services where they talk about, being all over the place like Yext, and they say citation management and those things, believe it or not, in the mortgage space, we actually avoid those. They can work very well in other industries, but in the mortgage space, what they do is they lead to a lot of spam and they lead to a lot of advertising. So people are clicking, looking for you, and instead they're seeing rocket ads and they're seeing, other ads for other mortgage companies. So you want to avoid those areas and those services and kind of start out there. But I do agree with you that whether someone is going online to, Google to look for a mortgage lender, look for a mortgage broker, or whether they have one in mind and they're doing their research, you've got to have a strong online profile.